In cricket, the first and foremost batting rule that comes at the top of the coaching manual is the batting stance. A solid batting stance can take a batsman a long way in developing his technique. Yet time and time again, we have seen batsmen change their batting stance before a particular series or in preparation to face a certain kind of bowler. Aspiring cricketers are often advised to have a firm grip over their batting stance, which in turn can help them become better batsmen in the future. However, the stance of a batsman keeps evolving as his career goes forward. Sometimes, it leads to unorthodox batting positions being adopted, which allows batsmen immense freedom to execute strokes and play bowlers on the former's terms. A comfortable stance can often seem unusual to the naked eye. We look at top 10 players with the most unusual batting stances in recorded cricket history. Number 10. Hashim Amla. This run machine from South Africa, too, has an awkward-looking batting stance, which is highly effective for him. Amla stands with a high back lift and his bat pointing towards the gully region. But despite this unusual stance, Amla has scored tons of runs across formats. The South African has amassed more than 18,000 runs across all formats in international cricket and has also scored a total of 55 centuries in all the formats he has played in. Amla has truly been a legendary batsman for the Proteas. Number 9. Clayton Lambert. Left-handed batsman Clayton Lambert played 5 tests and 12 ODIs in his career, which can be divided into 2 halves, one for West Indies and the other for USA. He changed sides, but one thing remained common: his unusual batting style. He had a crouching stance with his feet wide apart and bat resting between them. Lambert would take guard outside the line of leg stump and then walk across as the bowler fired up the delivery. Number 8. George Bailey. It was a one-day warm-up game between Prime Ministers Zai and the South African team, which was all set to kick off the upcoming tour. Chasing 174, the former team were on the score of 53-3 when their skipper George Bailey came out to bat for his team. The lad soon went on to create a scene which will forever be remembered by the cricket aficionados. The former Australian skipper took a stance in which his back was facing the bowler and his bat was standing right in front of the fielder at point. Meanwhile, Faf du Plessis, who was standing at the slip, was captured having a cheeky giggle after watching such a hilarious posture. The South African skipper was left in splits at that moment. Bailey also talked about this topic after the game ended. He said, "The really simple answer is to keep it side on. The key for batting and getting your feet into a position where you can hit the ball as hard as you can. The key to that is keeping my back foot very side on, which is something I used to speak to you, Michael Clark, a lot about when you played as well." Number 7. Lance Klusener. Lance Klusener is one of the best players of the 90s era. The 47-year-old was a legend in ODI cricket. However, one of the most surprising aspects of his batting was the stance he possessed. The lad held his bat at such a lofty height that it stayed parallel to his head. His bat also used to be quite heavy, and hence, this stance looked more like a baseball one. However, this technique was followed by several pros and cons. The higher backlift helped Klusener to hit many big hits, which made him score tons of runs. The Proteas cricketer was quite a decent bowler too, and went on to become one of the finest all-rounders of his time. He scored more than 3,000 runs and struck around 200 wickets in his short but glorious career. Nevertheless, this stance turned out to be really costly for him on slow wickets, especially in the biggest format of the game. Number 6. Kevin Pietersen. Kevin Pietersen has had a batting stance which was one of the weirdest in the world. Although he is considered to be an all-time great, especially in Test cricket, the lad was one of the most unconventional batsmen of his time. The South Africa-born had a stance wherein he kept his feet wider apart than any other modern-day batsman. The rear part of his body would always be a bit higher, and the backlift will be soaring. However, this never proved out to be costly for the English cricketer, as he always remained very concentrated while batting on the crease. The 39-year possessed the natural ability to judge the ball earlier than any other batsman of this world, which also helped him in the long run. At the same time, he didn't stand still and kept shuffling with his leg movement, which helped in confusing the bowler. KP went on to score a total of 8,181 runs in his 104-match Test career. Although he wasn't a legend of white ball cricket, he still scored more than 4,000 runs in ODIs. Number 5. Abhishek Nair. Former Mumbai and India all-rounder, Abhishek Nair, also possessed a unique batting stance. Throughout his career, Nair batted with a low stance, with the bat kept firmly between his legs. While facing particular bowlers or batting in different conditions, Nair kept shuffling his batting stance, never settling on one consistently. The low backlift and center of gravity gave Nair control over his shot making. With most of his body weight falling on the bottom leg, Nair made full use of the other leg to place shots on either side of the wicket. Although Nair did not take a wicket or score a run in the 3 ODIs he played, the left-hand batsman made useful contributions for Mumbai in domestic cricket. The 36-year-old was also a handy contributor in the 60 IPL games he played for various franchises. Number 4. Fawad Alam. Fawad Alam of Pakistan is one of the unfortunate players not to have played much cricket at the highest level. Despite scoring heavily in domestic cricket, Alam was ignored by the selection committee on several occasions. Although he represented Pakistan in 3 tests and 38 ODIs, Alam could never cement his place in the team's batting lineup. One reason that was cited by many experts for his failure to excel on the international stage was his unusual batting stance. The left-handed Alam stands with his right foot facing 45 degrees diagonally to the bowler. His batting position is such that he shows all 3 stumps to the bowler before the ball gets delivered. As the bowler is about to release the ball, Alam takes a big leap and settles to a more conventional stance. This batting stance, on most occasions, results in Alam playing with cross legs, making him susceptible to LBWs. Number 3. Shivnarine Chanderpaul. The owner of possibly the weirdest batting stance in the world is Shivnarine Chanderpaul. Early on in his career, he was famed for having a different kind of batting stance. However, as his career moved forward, everyone started realizing the technique behind his peculiar stance. Chanderpaul had an awkward-looking forward arm position. He stood 90 degrees to the orthodox stance and shuffled to a normal one just before the bowler delivered the ball. This, in turn, gave him the freedom and the necessary power to play the ball anywhere he wanted to. With his head still as a rock, Chanderpaul could deliver strong blows on both sides of the wicket. Despite his unusual stance, Chanderpaul scored runs aplenty and never felt the necessity to alter his batting stance till his retirement in 2015. The left-hander is one of 2 West Indies players and 12 players overall to score over 20,000 runs in international cricket, 11,867 in tests, 8778 in ODIs. Number 2. Stephen Smith. As already discussed before, no matter how peculiar and complicated the batting stance is, the only thing that matters for a batsman is how comfortable he is while facing a bowler. Former Australian captain, Smith's batting style is anything but orthodox. Complicated technique but an organised mindset is how Stephen Smith's batting technique is described by Sachin Tendulkar. There have been 2 batting stances to Steve Smith, one before the 2019 Ashes series and one after. Earlier, Smith carried an open-chested batting stance with a shuffle across the off-stump line, which exposed his leg stump and made him play short deliveries with his weight going backward. It made him an easy target to be caught in the slips. However, as fabulously explained by Tendulkar, Smith changed and sorted his stance midway between the 2019 Ashes series. After getting in trouble against the likes of Jofra Archer and his beaming short balls, Smith kept his guard and didn't shuffle across. Instead, he continued with his open-chested stance and transferred his weight to the front foot. This helped him to avoid getting beaten or nicking short-pitched balls to the slip cordon. Number 1. Rory Burns. There goes a funny saying that before every ball, England's Rory Burns hears something nasty coming in from the mid-on region, and hence his weird batting stance. In an interview with ESPN UK, Rory Burns explained the reason for his funny stance. He accredited it to left-eye dominance. A natural left-hander, Burns wants to see the ball most with his left eye. Burns' stance enables him to keep his head extremely still and in line with the stumps while holding his bat hanging in the air for a longer duration than most batsmen would prefer. This helps the left-hander get an extra second to counter any short-pitched stuff directed at him. We hope you enjoyed this video as much as we did compiling it, for you do let us know what you think in the comments section below, but in the meantime don't forget to hit like, share and do subscribe to Sportify.